Imagine standing in a pitch-black room. The only light comes from a single, violently flickering candle in the corner, casting long shadows. Out of the darkness, a distorted voice whispers a claim over a life it doesn't own. That nightmare scenario actually centers around a completely ordinary 19-year-old girl from a quiet town. People who knew her described her as kind, quiet, and entirely normal. Her baseline normalcy shattered after a casual evening with friends. They decided to experiment with occult rituals and strange spirit games, treating the unknown like a harmless thrill. Immediately after, her behavior took a sharp turn. She stopped sleeping entirely. She became fiercely aggressive. Every night she woke up screaming, terrified by dark figures she claimed were watching her from the corners of her room. A single night of playing with those games broke her life in ways no one anticipated. The core mystery remains. What exactly happened to her mind that night? Desperate for answers, her family turned to modern medicine. They brought in doctors and psychologists to examine her, hoping to find a rational explanation for her sudden aggression and insomnia. This diagram shows a differential diagnosis tree. Doctors mapped her symptoms to a psychiatric model, diagnosing severe anxiety. But when a new symptom emerges, screaming terror around a cross, the model breaks. Religious aversion falls completely outside clinical parameters, causing the tree to fail. The doctors were completely at a loss. Standard medical science had reached its analytical limits, unable to categorize or treat what was happening to her. The situation then moved from clinical symptoms to environmental chaos. Heavy furniture crashed upstairs without explanation, and strange, deep scratches began appearing on the bedroom walls. The terror peaked one night when the family rushed into her room. They found her huddled in a corner, whispering in a voice that sounded absolutely nothing like her own. Psychologists often look at cases like this through the lens of dissociative identity disorder. This is a condition where severe trauma causes a person's mind to fracture, creating distinct alternative personalities to cope with the pain. A fractured personality might explain the different voice, but it doesn't account for the physical environment. Family members were hearing heavy footsteps at night while everyone was asleep, and objects were moving on their own. If the physical manifestations reported in that house are accurate, the strictly psychological model collapses. The definitive shift happened during an otherwise quiet family dinner. Witnesses report the girl suddenly froze in place. She slowly looked upward, and then began speaking in 3 distinct voices at the exact same time, one deep, one distorted, and one whispering. These voices began revealing deeply guarded personal secrets about everyone in the room, information the family knew she had never been told. Hearing those private truths spoken aloud broke the family's faith in medicine. They stopped looking for a clinical diagnosis and contacted a local priest. The priest arrived skeptical, expecting to find a troubled teenager. His disbelief vanished when he stepped inside. The room felt unnaturally cold, and the second he began to pray, the girl reacted with immediate, violent hostility. When a subject starts speaking truths they have no way of knowing, the framework of medical science typically falls away. For those in the room, the possibility of a physical explanation was replaced by the presence of the supernatural. The exorcism began late at night. The family surrounded the room with candles, and the priest's prayers echoed through the house. Almost immediately, the screaming started. The girl's body exhibited violent contortions, while her voice dropped to an unnaturally deep register. The environment erupted alongside her. Witnesses reported objects lifting off surfaces and flying forcefully across the room while the ritual continued. During the height of the ritual, the girls stopped struggling, locked eyes directly with the priest, and stated clearly, "She belongs to us." Seconds later, every single candle in the room extinguished at once. The screaming stopped, leaving the house in a heavy, dead silence. The sudden silence left the witnesses in a dark room with no logical explanation for what they had just seen. Their previous attempts to rationalize the events were replaced by the immediate reality of what occurred in that house. After that silence, the girl slowly returned to normal. The ritual was completely successful. Her violent behavior disappeared, and the night terror stopped instantly. This nodal network illustrates mass sociogenic illness.
It suggests extreme family stress caused collective hallucinations, but this timeline presents a problem. In psychological contagions, it is statistically improbable that symptoms plummet to zero the exact moment a religious ritual concludes. Following the exorcism, the girl lived a completely normal life. However, she fiercely refused to ever speak about the incident again. The case leaves a gap in the records where medicine and the supernatural overlap. Whether the girl's recovery was a triumph of the mind or a successful ritual, the events remain a documented anomaly that science has yet to categorize.